Tell me when it's streaming. Okay, into the intro.
Hey, wake your ass up. Let's go. It's race time.
You're on.
Hello and welcome everybody to the British Grand Prix 2022, and it's a fantastic British weekend here at Silverstone. I may never wear socks, but I never wear sandals either, so who cares? Okay, Great Britain, what a wonderful place. A record-breaking 2 tons of tea will be shipped into Silverstone this year for this year's Grand Prix. 2 tons of tea will be drunk over this weekend. How fantastic is that? It's very fantastic. Let me just tell you, I'll be enjoying a few cups myself while I'm doing this review. Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth, by the grace of God of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and her other realms and territories, will be doing Sir Lewis Hamilton's MBE, Right Honourable Fellow of the Royal College of Engineering. She'll be doing the final car inspection for Lewis Hamilton. Joke obviously fell flat because of 2 things, but never mind. A fantastic Grand Prix, lots of action to be involved. As you can see, somebody forgot which way their course went in the first corner, although it may not have been their fault. Welcome everybody. Welcome especially to my fellow co-host, the expert Italian, fellow of the Royal College of Italians, the Italian expert, Fabio.
Hey, how you doing?
Ciao, Fabio. Ciao.
Hey, ciao.
Welcome to Bub Elvis as well. Thank you so much for being here. That's wonderful. Also, just to point out a couple of things. That although the British Grand Prix was a fantastic success, could have been slightly better, I feel, if we'd had some different weather conditions. This is something which is going to annoy me this year quite a lot. I don't know why exactly, but I'm guessing that there isn't going to be much rain this year because of all of these shall we say, different places that we're going to, which tend to be much hotter than rainier. And I don't know. I miss that. Maybe it's because there's less European rounds. Maybe it's because there's too many Middle Eastern rounds. I don't know. However, we've always got the Far East, and hopefully that will throw up a few surprises. Fabio, thank you. I'm going to, just before we get to it, I'm a little bit lost today.
Yeah.
Don't know why. Maybe because the edibles that I had earlier were a little too strong. I don't know. Don't know. But what I am going to do is the race highlights to start with, because I've just remembered that I normally do race highlights.
Yeah,
so it was the
you
British...
do.
Yeah, and so I may as well get on. I don't get paid for this, but if I did get paid, this is what I would be getting paid for. Right. Okay, here we go. This is the gold. You ready, Fabio?
Yes.
Okay, let's hit that stream. Okay, so first of all, a fantastic qualifying session by Carlos Sainz, who was in pole position. The Ferrari's looking very strong. Leclerc, unfortunate to end up where he did, which was in 3rd place, I think. He had a problem on the last lap. So, yeah, he couldn't quite... I think there was a yellow flag or some shit. And he couldn't really give a good run for pole position. And that actually was the deciding factor, as it turned out. I think things would have been very different if Leclerc had managed to get pole, or at least 2nd place. However, in 2nd place was Max Verstappen, who unusually went for an alternate strategy, which was to start on the red tyre. Lights away then, And a fantastic getaway by Max Verstappen. Really outdragged Carlos Sainz into the first corner. And we thought, there we go, that's that done. Unfortunately, further back in the pack, a certain Frenchman, Pierre Gasly, decided to go for a gap which was always going to close into one of the fastest corners on the track. So I don't know why he decided this, but that led to a massive, massive accident between himself, George Russell, and Zhou Zhongzhu. Or Jean Zhuzhou. No, it's Zhou Zhongzhu these days. Last year it was the other way. And unfortunately, as I say, Gasly stuck his nose in between the two cars which were moving together for the corner. They then came together. Zhou Zhongzhu's car flipped upside down, skated headlong on its halo into the sand. Still didn't flip over. Got all the way to the fence, then flipped over the barriers into a catch fence. Very dramatic. We were held our breath for some considerable time as they couldn't get him out of the car. The car landed like literally in a gap between the fence. Again, Gasly, I don't know why he thought he could ever stick his nose in a gap like that. And I've got to say, I think this is a bad mark on Gasly's record here. He should at least be aware that 100 meters before 140 to 150 mile an hour corner was not the time to go sticking your nose into unwanted places. So I feel that this is poor driving by Gasly, and I would firmly put the blame for this accident at his feet. It is true Russell was moving across. However, I don't think I think it would have been dangerous for Russell to go into that corner at such an acute angle anyway. So I don't think he could have done anything other than what could have happened. The only person that could have done something different, as I'm saying, is Gasly. No blame can really be held for Zhou Zhongzhu. He was just incredibly unlucky, and at the same time very lucky to get away with what was an extremely dangerous accident. And once again, I think we would both echo. Thank you very much to the safety of the Halo. It's turned out to be saving lives a lot more than we ever thought it would, and just goes to show you that when a safety issue comes up, it has to be taken seriously, regardless of the consequences to the cars, to the championship. And I think this leads on to something that I want to talk about in a little while, which is porpoising and the safety issues around porpoising that will pop its head up towards the end of the season when we get to much bumpier tracks, Japan, etc. Okay, anyway, moving on then. Zhou Zhongzhu, by the way, after like maybe 10, 15 minutes, was pulled out of the car and he was okay. He was obviously taken to hospital, as was George Russell. And both seemed okay. So good news, really, because it was a terrifying accident to start with. And it seems when you can't get a driver out of a car, you never know what could happen. In the old days, of course, that was really important to remove drivers from cars as quick as possible because of the danger of fuel cells getting punctured. These days, there's a lot less chance of that with the high quality materials they use. And so maybe it's not as serious a situation. However, anytime you crash at 150, 160 miles an hour, you got to take it seriously. And they did. They red flagged the race absolutely immediately. So fast, in fact, that the cars couldn't even get through Sector 1. And in fact, when it came to the restart, they actually swapped all of the cars back to their starting positions. And this was, again, another key moment, I feel, because Verstappen, who had started on the red tyre, changed, as they're allowed to do, changed completely his strategy and moved back onto the medium tyre, the yellow tyre. And this really lost him the race because, of course, then he couldn't get the same sort of start. He was starting from the same grid position. Couldn't get the same sort of start. And in fact, into the first corner, Sainz managed to, although he managed to get alongside Sainz was incredibly determined and brave, and just drove around the outside, at least kept his position. And of course, that is the way then to deal with Max Verstappen as many other people didn't, is not to give him room to make sure that he can't drive you off the circuit. And again, I think this was potentially the best part of the best driving that Sainz did all race, in my opinion, and was that first corner of the second restart, and actually holding Verstappen back. And this was to be a defining factor in the race, I feel. Leclerc then also speculatively diving down the inside of Perez, who just failed to see him completely and risked his own race and Leclerc's race. And unfortunately, Leclerc came off worse as he damaged his right front wing, and that held him up, or at least gave him some problems. I felt then that even though Leclerc had wing damage, he still drove an excellent race and was extremely fast. So fast, in fact, he managed to get alongside Verstappen at one point. And this was where I have another major issue. And I think Mr. Elvis might disagree with me somewhat. However, basically, Verstappen then started driving everybody that was trying to overtake him off the track. There was no overtaking incident where he didn't put somebody onto, not just onto the rumble strip or the curb, but over the curb. All right, he literally drove up to the curb. Nobody really noticed this. None of the commentators really wanted to comment on it. After the race, nobody was saying, I think nobody was saying that Max is driving back to his dangerous ways again, mainly because he only finished 8th. But I would also say on the last few laps, where Max was fighting against Mick Schumacher for that 8th position, I thought Mick Schumacher was incredibly intelligent in letting Max go past, because otherwise they definitely would have had an accident. And this goes down to nothing to do with Mick Schumacher's driving, all to do with Verstappen's driving. He was dangerous, and I think something should be said to him. At least points should be taken off his license, because, as I said, of the 5 or so overtakes that he was involved with or defending against, at 4 of them, he drove the person off the track and didn't leave room, and that's against current FIA rules. So I'm heavily criticizing Max Verstappen. And I have to say, Perez was kind of guilty as well. It's almost like he's picking up some of these habits. In order to beat Max, he seems to be employing Max's tactics. And I think this needs to be reined back on completely. As I say, that first incident on lap 3 between Perez and Leclerc, I think was a shocking incident. I guess that Leclerc was speculative to dive down the inside, but Perez definitely turned in, and he wasn't leaving room for a car, and I do think he knew that Leclerc was there. So I think that also could be looked at. Obviously, it's a first lap incident, allegedly. I mean, it's a restart incident, so perhaps no action could be taken anyway. But I think both Red Bulls need looking at in this particular race, and I do think that something should be done to just clarify once again that driving cars off track is just not acceptable. You have to leave room once they're alongside you. Otherwise, we're just going to end up with teams at the end of the year claiming that their budget is they have to go over their budget and they want the extra thing just because they've been basically forced into forced into crashes and damage repairs, which they shouldn't need. Moving on with the race, anyway. I mean, I think those are the major points I wanted to mention. I'm unhappy about several other things to do with this race. I didn't think it was the most exciting race. Lewis Hamilton dropped back after the initial restart and then had an excellent battle with Norris and managed to overtake him cleanly. Again, not a problem with driving people off track. He waited for the DRS and then took it. Then the pressure that Verstappen was putting on Sainz paid off. Sainz made a mistake, had to steer out of one of the corners, and probably in Copse, not in Cops, in Druids, second Druids, in fact, and that allowed Max Verstappen to get past. However, just a couple of laps later, then the situation was reversed, and Sainz managed to make a pass on Verstappen, who it turned out had driven over a curb, or at least some carbon, which had damaged the underfloor of his car. He made a pit, thinking it was probably a puncture. It turned out not to be, and he wasted even more time then. And again, kind of lucky for him, really, I believe, because I think otherwise some of his driving would have been called up. So I think he got away with one in some respect. However, needless to say, the two Ferraris then with Hamilton, with it left the two Ferraris and Hamilton to duke it out. So we thought. Of course, Leclerc managed to outpace Sainz, and even with a broken car, and it was a substantially broken front wing, he managed to outpace him. He couldn't. Sainz couldn't put in the lap times anywhere near Leclerc, so they switched the cars around, and away we went. Everything seemed to be going fairly well until Alonso slowed down on the straight and pulled up. No, there was something else. You have to tell me.
Ocon.
It was Ocon. I beg your pardon. It wasn't Alonso. Yes, absolutely right. Ocon had a problem with his car. I am looking at it now, going, "Oh yeah, it's Ocon. That's amazing." Thank you for the correction. Yeah, so Ocon had a problem going down the straights, and of course, everybody who was anybody dived into the pits, knowing that this was going to be a safety car, or at least at minimum a virtual safety car, except one person, Leclerc, who didn't dive into the pits. I have no idea about this. It is completely mystifying me as to what went on. Again, I put this down to the Ferrari team and a failure of strategy. I'm dumbfounded. I can't even talk about it. So there we go. Leclerc didn't come in. They put him through. Everybody else did. Upon the restart, with just 9 laps to go, there was a bit of radio bickering between Sainz and the pit, and Leclerc just got completely hung out to dry, of course, and he ended up dropping down due to the fact that he had old tyres on, hard tyres, and everybody else had pitted for brand new, fresh rubber and the softest tyre available. So, of course, everybody was going faster. And of course, the fastest of all was the car which could get their tyres up to temperature, which was, of course, Perez. And Perez managed to overtake Lewis, no problem at all. Lewis gave him room on the inside of a corner. The two Ferraris then started fighting. Okay, and of course, Sainz managed to get past on his tyres. You could tell Leclerc was pissed by this point. And of course, then the fastest car of them all, the Red Bull, came through, overtaking Leclerc at Cops, and of course, weirdly, still not really giving enough room for the Ferrari. However, it didn't seem like any of those penalties were ever going to be thing. And then, of course, that left Perez to get by Hamilton, and then, of course, with the faster car and DRS, that was no problem at all. I think there was a couple of other tiny little things, although in this one, Perez did actually get his elbows out and forced Hamilton off track to make the overtake. Again, no mention of it. At the same time, Leclerc trying to take advantage, and that led to a very exciting little battle between Leclerc and Hamilton. And they managed to drive side by side through the very fastest corners on the British Grand Prix circuit. That no less the same place that he had a crash with Max Verstappen in, side by side, no problem at all. And it was great driving, I have to say. Lewis seemed to get pushed out at one point again, but that was kind of at this point, I think every driver that had been overtaken by a Red Bull had been forced off circuit. So I think there was some kind of precedent for that. Nonetheless, when they got fighting again, as I say, it was really an excellent set of racing, both drivers giving each other room, at least to try and make the right overtakes. and Leclerc really defending very solid, very hard. And again, considering the fact his car was damaged, just goes to show what an absolute star driver he is, and why. Again, I'm going back to it. Why Ferrari made that tactical decision to leave him out is just beyond me. I'm really gutted about it, to be honest. So I don't know. Politics again. That's all we can really assume, I guess. And I'm just disappointed. So just to recap, I guess Sainz did come home to win. It's his first Grand Prix victory. Congratulations to him. I think he was gifted the win, of course, but nonetheless, it's still a win, and it's still a win for Ferrari. So congratulations to them. I'm disappointed by many things. I'm disappointed by I'm just disappointed by the driving standards overall. No mention of Gasly getting some kind of reprimand for doing something which potentially could have cost somebody their life. No mention of Verstappen pushing multiple drivers off circuit, let alone the other drivers that then follow suit to do it. No mention of Perez literally driving deliberately wide to push Hamilton off the circuit. I don't understand this. It's a bit of a mystery for me this weekend. In all, I was disappointed, and leave it there. Oh no, the obviously the results. Results first. Sorry, Fabio. If we could have the results up. So of course, first Ferrari, an excellent win, and of course Carlos Sainz in first place. Second place Sergio Perez. The only, I mean, he just again by dint of not having an accident with somebody, although he tried a couple of times. In third place, fantastic podium for Lewis Hamilton, showing that on a smooth circuit, that Mercedes is actually pretty quick. Fourth place, a brilliant drive, I've got to say, by Charles Leclerc with a damaged car, and finishing only 8.5 seconds behind the leader. So, I mean, what a fantastic result for the lad, although I feel gutted that he was hung out to dry. Fifth place, Fernando Alonso. Again, what can you say? He's a class act. He's a class driver. He usually brings the car home, and when he does, it's good points. Lando Norris, considering that car was very underperforming, shall we say, a good result for him, although he got away to a good start, and that's where he made the positions. Seventh place, Max Verstappen, seventh place. I'm not going to say anything about that anymore. Mick Schumacher, first points for Mick Schumacher in F1. Congratulations to the lad. He drove an excellent race. Ninth place, Sebastian Vettel, again showing that you have to have some class on this circuit. Kevin Magnussen, 10th place, again bringing home a great result for that team. 11th place is, of course, Lance Stroll, showing that Mercedes Aston Martin has some pace. 8th place, Williams Nicholas Latifi. Shame about Albon at the beginning of the race. 13th place, Daniel Ricciardo, again disappointing. The lad's head has fallen a little, and he's not quite performing up to the high standards that he's been used to, or we've been used to seeing from him. And something's going on with that car. It's obviously been engineered around Lando, and that isn't suiting Daniel Ricciardo, presumably because the rear end is a little weak. Yuki Tsunoda, again, 14th place. Yeah, Yuki's race was a bit strange as well. I mean, I do think the AlphaTauris were underperforming. Whether that's the circuit thing, which is my suspicion, is something. If not, you would have thought that they could have done a little better. Although obviously Gasly making a huge mistake on the first start. 15th place would of course be Esteban Ocon, who did not finish, had the problem and caused the last safety car. Gasly out in the first start, of course, along with a whole slew of other people, like 17th place Bottas, George Russell, who hit the back of Alonso and crashed down into the wall. 19th place, sorry, was of course Zhou Zhu, who was flipped upside down, and Alex Albon, who was the one that was hit in the back by Vettel, sorry, and went into the wall. So that was the race recap. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'd like to just throw it over quickly to the fabulous Fabio. Fabio,
Yeah.
I don't know
So,
what to say.
well, I'll try to be super brief because there is a. I mean, this. Well, first of all, it was a fantastic race. It was really good to watch on TV, really funny, and really, I think it was a good show. There are a lot of things to say. I'll try to be as brief as possible. I will start from the beginning, and I will start with a joke. I think that it's about time that we put a moratorium or we ban French drivers from driving because the first accident was caused by Gasly, and the second, fuck up was caused by Ocon on a French car. So enough with the French. Fuck them. Okay, so I just wanted to take it out. There is another thing, and I've been brewing this for 24 hours because yesterday we were messaging as we do every time during the race. Ferrari won a race. That must not be forgotten. And the second driver got fourth, which would be an excellent result. A lot of people were gutted because of I've heard titles saying yeah, I mean Ferrari won, but it was the wrong Ferrari. I mean Sainz won fair and square. Actually, it was really funny because I don't think Sainz was the fastest guy on the track, but he won. So even more so, somebody might say, I mean, that was a really good team effort, both from the team and the car and the driver, because he wasn't the fastest one. Anyway, that must not be that must be taken in serious consideration. Moving on, because now we're gonna say some things which might not be on par with what we said. Just so keep that in mind. The start. Gasly tried to go where Latifi went. Of course, was the wrong maneuver. Zhu at this incredible accident. What really? And there are two things to say. So the first one is Diallo. Diallo basically saved two people last weekend. One was Zhu, and the other one was Nissany on F2, on the race which was raced before the F1, where another car literally drove over the car, and that was, saved by Diallo, no question asked. Zhu was saved by Diallo for the wrong reasons, and I'm saying that because I was quite scared by the pictures. I think it's on the thumbnail of the video, and eventually we'll probably show. There is the roll bar crashed completely. It collapsed completely. That was scary. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen it in all those years of F1. Where there is a rollover, the roll bar is supposed to be there. The one on the Alpha completely, it was off. The moment it touched and then it grind and there was no roll bar. So if it wasn't for the halo, it would have been killed. The roll bar, just be super quick. I'm sure everybody knows, but there are two structures that have to be on a racing car. So there is a structure which is behind the head of the driver, like a support there, and then another one it's in front, just ahead of the steering wheel. There are some measures which must be taken, so you can basically have to be able to draw a line from the top support to the bottom support, and the head of the driver has to be 7 centimeters from that line. And I think at the driving position has got to be something like 20 centimeters, stuff like that. So if a car rolls over, those two structures, they basically avoid your head to get in touch with the pavement, right? The bottom structure collapsed completely. So if it wasn't for the halo, the bottom roll bar would have been Zhu helmet, which is not a good thing. So that was scary. I'm I hope they're going to do something. Alfa Romeo, I think we talked about it 2 or 3 episodes ago. They had a weird back roll bar. So all of them, most of the car, it's inside the air scoop and it's shaped like a V. The one in the Alfa is like a pillion, and they do that for weight reasons. Obviously, they tested it. I think they got to reevaluate the whole procedure or stuff because actually something was really tragically wrong. So luck, it didn't get hurt, but from an engineering point of view, it was a disaster. The restart, you said that Verstappen started with the red tires, but on the second restart it started with the yellow tires, and that's true. I think that they tried to make that kind of thing at the beginning to try to move a little bit the car. They actually managed to do that because when I saw the first start, I looked at the times. Now, funnily enough, Sainz had a better reaction time than Verstappen on the first start. I'm talking.
Yeah.
But the 0 to 100 kilometers an hour was faster for Verstappen, and that was only because of the more grippy tires. So I think that in Red Bull idea was, you got to put red tires so the guy can, go in clean air, get some, some space, and we'll see what's going on from there. That obviously didn't happen because of the accident. I think it was quite a gamble because starting with the red tire meant that it was surely a free stop race for Verstappen. So I'm not really sure it would have paid off, considering how much the medium tires were performing in the race. So maybe it was lucky that there was the accident and all that stuff. And obviously in the second restart they said we're not gambling that, we just go for that because everybody saw our cards and they might be afraid that somebody would play the same card. So we went a little bit more conservative. Leclerc, I think that Leclerc race was lost between lap 20 and lap 30 when it was faster than Sainz. Hamilton was catching up. They kept telling Sainz, setting him lap times that he eventually made it, but he was really struggling. And only after lap 30 they allowed Leclerc to pass Sainz, and he got quite a good gap, and that was working up until the point that the other bloody French on the French car decided to shit the bed and stop on the straight. And this is the other thing that I'm going to address really shortly because everybody was talking about, was the thing I said before, the Ferrari one, but the wrong Ferrari one. So here's the thing: Ferrari said that they had no time to make a double pit stop. I think that's bullshit.
Yeah.
No, I think it's bullshit for 2 reasons. Well, after the safety car was deployed, Leclerc slowed down a lot, and he slowed down on purpose to give more time to the pit wall to make up their mind. They decided to stop Sainz and not Leclerc. They justified that by saying there was no time for a double pit stop. Again, I think there were 3 seconds, so they might have done that. What I'm afraid is happening is that I think that Ferrari has got to make up his mind if they want to win the championship with Leclerc or if they want to win races, because the tactic they did, it was a tactic that enabled them to win that race regardless of what everybody else was doing. If anybody else was doing the opposite, they did the opposite with car 1 and car 2. So that is the tactic that you use if you want to win the race with either one of those cars. And if you want to win the race, you want to be sure to win the race, that's how you do it. You let the fastest car ahead, you take in the second one, hoping that somebody will fall for it, making the opposite, all that stuff. So that I think is the issue. I am not really sure that they are betting on Leclerc winning the championship, or they're not playing all the cards in order to help Leclerc win the championship. Which I mean, I don't know. I think they were more scared of not winning one race rather than risking having Leclerc win the race. So that would be my feeling 24 hours after everything has happened, because otherwise I cannot explain, for the sake of me, what the fuck possessed them to do that. Last
Fair.
thing.
Yep, sorry, go ahead.
Super last thing, the restart. First of all, I agree with you about the way that Verstappen drove. It was, it was appalling, especially with Schumacher. It was, I mean, if it was the other way around, they would have probably shot Mick Schumacher when he got there. I say no other, so I agree with you. I totally agree with you on that. I mean, I can live with the accident at lap 3, between Perez and Leclerc and Verstappen and stuff like that. I can see that happening. First lap, stuff like that. I can live with that. I agree with you. It was a little bit borderline for Perez, but it's something. Okay, I can make my head around it. After the restart from the safety car, I think that we saw 10 of the best laps ever that I remember in years, because that was amazing. It was totally amazing. It was amazing, the way that Sainz managed to. Well, actually, Leclerc couldn't eat the tires too much. He slipped, and and Sainz saw the opportunity and just flew away to catch the victory. But at the back, man, that was fucking epic. Seeing Leclerc with a car which had a front wing damage, those were 5 points of downforce. 5 points of downforce missing, it's about 1/10 of a second, 1.5 tenth of a second slower than a car can be. So keep that in mind, right? It was on used hard tires. He put up a hell of a duel. And when I saw live the way that he overtook Hamilton, and of course Hamilton at the end, just overtook him. Okay, but the way that he overtook Hamilton at Copse with used harder tires on the outside, which, by the way, incidentally, it's exactly what Verstappen should have done last year, and he couldn't do that. Seeing that, I had goosebumps. I shit you not. I saw the overtake today again, because I was, maybe I was, in the heat of the moment. I still have goosebumps. That was beautiful. That was amazing. The car, the guy drove like a fucking legend. It's just unfortunate that he didn't win the race as he was supposed to. You said something about the qualifying. He spun on his last attempt, Leclerc. Before he spun, he made a best first sector, and he was improving on the second sector, and then he spun. So probably would have made, so that's all I have to say.
Okay. I mean, just a quick couple of things then in reply to that. Yeah, I think if they wanted to say we're going to win this race, they could have just brought Leclerc in and won the race anyway. He was in the lead. It's normally the lead driver that gets that call. And, I don't understand why not. I just do not understand it. It doesn't make sense to me for another reason, which is Sainz had an undamaged car. So if anybody could keep the tires and get them warm quickly, it would have been Sainz. It wasn't never going to be Leclerc being able to warm his tires up the quickest if he stayed on the old tires again. So again, it doesn't make sense from another slightly, insular point of view. I think it's, again, I don't understand why to say there was no time. Okay, that's a bad excuse. That is just a bad excuse, and that's what's pissing me off, because I know that if you're a Formula One team, and when somebody starts slowing down like that and a yellow flag comes out, you got to be ready. That's when you start making the decision.
What?
When the full safety car comes out, or the notice comes out to put the safety car out, then you can make your decision. But you've already had at least some amount of time to get prepared that you're going to make a decision to box or not box. So I don't think 10 seconds is more than enough time. Plus, sorry, just let me finish this one last point, which is plus like Martin said, as soon as Martin saw that Alpine slowing down, he went, this is going to cause a safety car because there's nowhere you can stop there.
Everybody said that. Everybody.
Yeah. Right. So what? So Ferrari don't know that there's nowhere to stop down that bit of road until you get right round the corner to the other side of the pits.
Oh, they had all the time. The Italian commentator, the first thing they said was, saying what was Leclerc's position on the track while, Ocon was stopping. So they saw that. Again, I'm not trying to find excuses, right? I'm just trying to, because it took me 20.
Than it seems, yeah. I guess.
Well, it took me 24 hours, and I still haven't digested all of it. But I'm trying to find the rationale, and I'm not. Keep in mind, I do not agree with that rationale, but I'm trying to find an explanation. So I think that the main issue is that the pit, that wasn't a racing decision, that was a technical decision. What I mean is that if you want to win the race, right, and you are in the situation that Ferrari is, you have one car. So first of all, sorry, let me take a step back. Ferrari wasn't the fastest car on the track during the race. It wasn't. They had the fastest driver, but it wasn't the fastest car. Lewis was really fast. Perez was uncanny fast, so they knew that they did not have that super advantage. Also, Silverstone, I would say that later because that's actually against the point of Ferrari made. But so they knew they had the most performance oriented car, the fastest one. They wanted to win the race. You have one car which has a slight damage, so they have 5 points of downforce less than used to be, and then you have another guy. So what they thought said, okay, if I want to win the race, the only way I am assured I'm going to win the race is I keep the damaged car outside with the fastest driver, because eventually it will put up a fight. I take the second driver in with the more performance tires. It will get after the second one. Eventually, it will cover the guy, because that's another thing. When they set the restart, they asked Sainz to give 10 car lengths between him and Charles.
Yeah, the maximum legally possible. Yeah.
And Sainz said, "Don't do this to me because I got pressure from Lewis." So that again, was another. I mean, if that has happened, the race would have been different.
That's dumbfounding to me as well. Like Sainz going, I can't pull away. No, you've got car superiority. Yeah, maybe not in DRS, but you've got fucking 2 laps to get out of DRS range to pull a second.
Sainz wasn't feeling
easily could have been done.
Yeah, Sainz wasn't feeling superior to Lewis.
I don't know why, man.
Well, no, I tell you why. Because when Sainz was ahead, he had to give position to Leclerc, because he wasn't able to make the same lap times that Lewis was making. Yeah. So he knew that Lewis was faster, and he had Lewis breathing on his back. He didn't want to play, team for
I
the
get
one.
that.
I know. I mean, I'm just saying
I get
what has
that,
happened.
but no. Look at it.
I'm not
look at
agreeing.
it. Yeah, sure, but look at it the realistic way. No, the Mercedes was slower than the Ferrari on new tires.
I know.
Both of the restarts. So no, Lewis was not in a faster car because they were on fresh tires.
Sainz was in an edge space where...
Yeah, I understand that. I get Sainz wanted to win the race, and he does not care anymore about
Yes.
being number 2 driver,
Right.
even though that is his position. Why?
Right. Yeah.
I'm saying because of politics.
No, it's
Right,
not
there you go.
politics. Again,
I
no,
think
no,
it
no,
is.
no, no,
Right,
no.
I-
It's
I
no,
think
no,
it is.
Simon. Listen,
Go ahead.
you're wrong. It's not. It's not, because in Ferrari they made that call. They asked Sainz to sacrifice himself to give space, and he didn't. So I think there's going to be some really, stern conversations in Ferrari in the next days. But mostly because of this fact. They couldn't say anything. The only guy who said something was Leclerc, in the interviews, and said, I'm not going to say anything, I'm not the one. I can't complain, and tell Ferrari what to do, but we got to talk about it. It was brilliant. The interview he made was fucking brilliant. But I think they will have to discuss that, because during the race, they told Sainz, listen, you're number 2, right? You got to protect the guy in front of you. And the reason we gave you the fresh tires is because we want to be sure that one Ferrari wins the race, but we have a chance to have a 1-2, and the only way for us to do it is if you just let the guy go, because he has to heat the tires. There are the tires, so he would not be able to do that. And Sainz just wasn't in the headspace of saying, no, I want to win the race, don't do it to me. So that was, a very, very difficult, situation that they put themselves into.
Okay.
There is, last thing, and I think that was the biggest mistake that Ferrari did. All this reasoning is because they wanted to have track position, at least with one car. This is the part where I really want to kill somebody in Ferrari. I really want to, because of all the tracks, I think this year, the Silverstone is the one where track position doesn't count. It doesn't count. You can overtake easily in Silverstone. So it's not Monaco, it's not Baku, where track position is paramount. You need to have track position is not as important as having a performance.
Yeah, especially with the cars being able to run so close now.
Right.
So maybe in the past you can't run close through Druids, or Cops. Fair enough. Cars get away, then you can't get them down the hangar straight.
So
that's no longer the case.
Right. So after 24 hours of trying to figure out why they made the kind of decision and trying to find some rationale, which I think I did. I'm still at the point that I want to hit somebody with a big stick, because it all crumbles down to the fact that track position in Silverstone counts for nothing. And they cannot tell me, if we make a double pit stop, somebody's going to do the opposite, because nobody would have done the opposite. But maybe Alonso would have done the opposite. Maybe Alonso would have stayed out. Maybe I think it was the only one. He had the fresher tires and stuff like that, but everybody was going back, to change the tires.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've covered that. Let's just do a couple of comments in the chat, especially Bub here. They're saying that Client might not have had enough time to make the soft decision. We kind of covered that. I think that's probably it would have been a quick decision, but a professional team like Ferrari definitely. They should have had time for sure.
No, they had time. They had 3 seconds.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. I agree. The last rounds were not great for him. He was defending a bit too much. Yeah, the last circuits against Mick, he definitely was driving in I felt an untoward way. He was forcing cars off the road, but then this is the style he used to have, and he has been reprimanded for before. And this is going to show it. Even in 7th, 8th place, he gives no fucks about other drivers. And I'm particularly disappointed that nobody has picked that up and said so, especially on the team. So, he says that Verstappen lost a lot of downforce. That might contribute to him driving off track. No, because he didn't drive off track. He made other drivers drive off track. Yeah. So I disagree with what you're saying there. Although, obviously, the lack of downforce means it's much harder to control the car in the way you would expect. But then these are allegedly the best drivers in the world. And he's supposedly one of the greatest drivers of all time, if you believe the hype that Red Bull put out there.
Yeah, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
he had to push in order not to be overtaken, and because he had basically no down. Well, I think he lost, something like 20, 30 points of downforce, or even more. So of course, the moment he started pushing, the rear was all over the fucking place, and he drove people off the track. But that's not a justification, So
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Bob says, I'm hoping that Verstappen wins the championship again. That's fine, no problem there. And in this race, he managed not to lose too many points. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right here. This is a big bonus. The big winner was Verstappen because he managed to minimize what could have been a disastrous weekend for him, losing possibly 19 points. And he only managed to lose 6 points, which on his lead is absolutely huge. And again, if Ferrari lose the Drivers' Championship this year, all right, and don't win the Constructors, absolutely no fucking sympathy whatsoever.
yeah,
In fact, I will probably renounce my non-Italian citizenship.
yeah,
That's
no,
how that's how upset I am. Okay.
no. Listen. I understand your point. That's the worst part of it.
Yeah.
I can't blame you.
Yeah. Okay. But also says Leclerc was a good fighter. Very nice driving. Absolutely. Yeah. He was the
Leclerc
class act, I feel.
was fucking epic. He was epic.
Hello to Geo Sam. There was some talk. Hang on. I haven't read this one yet, so I'm just going to put it up quickly. But there was some talk that Russell got out of his car to check on Zhao. Do you think this could have been true? Yeah, I do. He actually jumped out of his car as soon as he possibly could, and then ran over to Zhao to see if he was okay. He was still in the barriers at this time. He stayed there for a little while, then ran back to his car once he'd seen that Zhao was okay, or at least moving and talking inside the car, and let the marshals do their job. Of course, it is their job after all. He then ran back to his car, got in his car. Unfortunately, couldn't restart the car, even though he had damage on the wheel. He still could have got back. He then went back to the pits, found out how to restart his car, ran back to his car, and in the meantime, the marshals, quite rightly, had already dealt with his car and got it on the back of a truck. So that was him out of the race. Again, Russell is a remarkably mature young man, I have to say, and he is head of the drivers. What do they call it?
The rookie? No, not the
No,
rookie.
drivers committee.
Oh yeah.
So he is actually the head. Yeah, he basically deals with complaints that the drivers may have with the FIA or the FOM, or the FIA in particular. Sorry. So he's the lead driver in terms of when they all go for their drivers' meeting. He's the one that decides, or is the spokesperson. They all decide themselves what to say. Obviously. Here we go. Another one here. Now he says, "Now I like Russell even more than Peter, and I should have gotten a pass to join the race after the restart." And he should have gotten a pass to join the race after the restart. Yeah, they can't make exceptions once the rules are written down.
No. I mean, I disagree. I mean, Russell. I mean, I understand what Russell did, but that was a mistake. And you're a professional. You got to know the rules and all that stuff. So I mean, if you do that, kudos to the guy. By the way, I mean, him running to check how he was doing was completely pointless. I mean, the car wasn't on fire, and and the stewards were there. It just crashed. So I understand. Maybe the impulse to do that, but you're a professional racing driver. You know what you can do, what you cannot do, and so.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so we've got a little section we want to do because there was some other stuff that was going on track, namely the protesters. But while I've still got this question up, I'll just bring Peter in. He may have an alternate view. Oh, I said while I put this up on.
And then I took it down.
You just put it up again.
Yeah, and then I took it down.
Never mind.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, welcome, Peter.
You did manage to put in a word that isn't there, but I mean, it's British. They can't read.
Yeah. Even more than me. For the restart. Okay, I have no idea what you're talking about. As you,
You said I like Russell even more than Peter. The then isn't there.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, that was just me projecting then. Okay, I beg your pardon, Bob. I like Russell more than Peter.
Yeah.
If that's any consolation.
Wishful
So there you
thinking.
go.
Wishful thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, no, fair
But-
enough. So, what do you think here? You think they're differently to what Fabio just said? So,
Well, so
fine. Go on.
I yeah, and I do have a thing for a fight between you and Fabio, but I don't have a thing for a fight between me and Fabio. So we'll have to skip
Okay.
that for next time. But no, so I
No,
I do
no,
think
I'm gonna,
I do
okay,
think
if you think you can get away with skipping it, I agree, Bob Elvis.
He's
Checking
a
if
wise
you-
he's a
if
wise
you can
guy.
help.
It's not
Yeah.
even trying. He's
Yeah.
a wise man. Yeah.
I'm
I
trying
agree,
I'm
Bob
trying to
Elvis,
be
he said.
wise and
Checking,
then
I'm speaking. I agree, Bob Elvis. Checking if you can help should be put in the rules, and that's by gonna go for it, Peter.
yes.
Yeah.
I
Defend
said
your statement,
I-
sir, 'cause that
I-
is bullshit.
I said I was going to be wise and then screw it up again because, and so I'm looking back at the old days when, for instance, the crash with Niki Lauda, where several drivers stopped and tried to help him get out. Senna was famous for checking on drivers. I think the sentiment is good. Caring for another driver is always good. And if he was able to restart the car, which he didn't, he had to run back to the pits and then run back to the car to try and restart it. But let's say if he restarted it and got back to the pits, he should have been able to get back. And it's a tough
He would
call.
have been able to.
Yeah,
Correct.
it's a tough call. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, we wanted to discuss something completely different.
I'm sorry, that didn't answer my objections there at all. But okay, I'll let you get over that one. Because
Yes.
I do
Yeah.
understand.
I'm trying
So
to
you said
minimize.
something in the
I'm trying
chat,
to
which is
minimize
bullshit.
damage. I'm trying to minimize
Yeah.
damage.
There you go. Yeah, not a good job, I'm afraid, Peter.
No. So,
Okay. Never
yeah.
mind. We'll let him get away with that one because this is Pit Lane Peter.
Yes.
And no worries. I can see that you've had a busy weekend in the campsite with the hookers.
Yeah. The campers have left. And this time I don't need a hotel. I'm just camping. I mean,
Just camping. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
But so
That is. I have to say, those are some of the biggest condoms I've seen. So
Yes.
Congratulations to that.
huge. I'm in the Dutch section,
Okay.
obviously. So
Obviously.
obviously.
Oh, they're Dutch caps. I get you.
Yeah.
That's why they're so big.
So, but yeah, there was something else going on. We had a lot of people
was.
on track, and yeah, I'll let you listen to the sound.
Idiot. I love it. Fucking twats.
As I said, British commentary. But I mean, this is where the cars were still on track. So now,
Yeah.
what
You can
would
see
have
the cars passing still.
what would have happened if there hadn't been an accident in turn one? Because
Exactly.
then the cars would have gone past here at full speed. This is just, I mean, it's insane, in my opinion. And so I want to say one thing. Kudos to the British police because they
Marshals,
managed.
yeah.
No, the police. They managed to keep
Okay.
most of the protesters off the track, and only 7.
Marshals.
No, the police.
The police?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes. They.
'Cause it's private property, so
It's private
technically
property,
speaking-
but they monitored the protesters and managed to keep them off of the circuit, and only 7 got past. So There's no telling what
I
would have
see what you're
happened
saying.
if all the others would have been on that track as well. So 5 of them made it onto the track, 2 didn't. And so I think, the British police does need to be complimented on how they handled it. They managed
Okay.
to minimize
I
the
mean,
damage.
I have the maximum respect for police forces and all that shit, but they knew that there were going to be protests
Yes.
like a week before, and even if they knew, 5 of them managed to get on the track anyway. So I'm not really calling that a good job. If
Well-
you get what I mean, I mean, they knew it in advance.
Yeah, but so
And
they knew there were going to be protesters, but do you know who the protesters, who everyone is? I think that's the big
Well,
question mark here. And
No, but I mean, they knew that they were planning to get on the track. Mm-hmm. That was known for days before, and I mean, I understand there is a lot of people, and I mean, I understand everything, right? But still, 5 of them managed to get in the truck anyway. So,
Sorry, did we know what
they?
they were protesting? Is
Yes,
the question here.
they
Must
were-
be
If
so
I
urgent
know.
important
Yeah.
yes,
on the road.
they were
Were they
protesting.
vegetarians or something?
No, they were protesting the use of fossil fuel.
Oh, the use of fossil fuel. Right. Okay.
In a sport
yeah.
sport that has already committed to step away from fossil fuel.
Fossil fuels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Seems logical. I mean,
Right. Okay. Hence the orange T-shirt.
I think that was a tribute to Max Verstappen or something. I have no clue.
Oh, okay.
I
thought it was like,
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
let's face it, Max Verstappen is the epitome of a non-fossil fuel using
Yes.
gentleman.
Yes.
Yeah,
Pretty
like
much.
his dad. Right?
Yeah.
You know, like his dad. Yeah, respects women to the highest degree.
Yeah.
Well, so I do have a few other things. If we want to move on from this,
Sorry. Yeah, almost. Let me
Almost.
just go. They must be Christians, Gio says. Yeah, they've got to be looking for an early fucking grave. That's all I know. So yeah, probably Christian.
they were
The
look-
use of fossil fuel. What a joke! I know.
they were looking.
I mean,
they were looking to be raptured in the most spectacular way by an F1
there
car.
you go. Okay, the use of fossil fuels. What a joke! Absolutely. As I say, Formula One have made great efforts to try and be carbon neutral.
Yes.
Okay. And they're never going to get there. Well, I say they're never going to get there. They're unlikely to get there simply because of the amount of traveling. It's a worldwide sport. So obviously they either just race one circuit or they're going to obviously, treat it as a luxury, which it is, of course, with the amount of money they spend on it and race around the world, which is, of course, going to cost a lot of money and take a lot of fuel. So again, I think it's a useless waste of a set of of protesting to do it in the way they did it. If they wanted to protest F1 for using too much fossil fuel, then they should be at least highlighting the fact that they transport goods all around the world, which means going to a single track and then just jumping on the track as if that's going to do anything. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, do you want to just say anything about that?
Well, it was super disappointing. Because I still maintain that the best invasion of the track what actually happened in Silverstone. I think it was 6 or 7 years ago. What that dude dressed as Robin Hood run into the.
Well, I think he had a kilt on, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think Anyway, regardless, So I think that was still the best, and so that one was not on par with the standard that we used to see of track invasion in the UK. I would just say that. Yeah.
And quick comment from Fabio, thank you. Imagine the world stopped using fossil fuel after this protest. Imagine the total Armageddon and chaos that would follow. Absolutely. I just don't understand some of these protests at all. And Gio says, running on the track running onto the track puts a lot of people in danger. Exactly, and also I would say, I mean, I just think it's if imagine being the driver that hits somebody like that, right? The psychological damage to that one person alone, right, is just completely it's mind numbing to me that they could do such a thing.
We saw
And
what
be so
happens.
callous to other people.
We saw what happens when something like that occurs with Tommy Price, who sadly lost his life because it was a marshal carrying a fire extinguisher.
There you go. Yeah, indeed.
So.
Okay, moving
Anyway.
on then. So after that sad note, Peter, you got some memes?
Yeah. So what I missed from you, Simons, because you're always the guy who sees everything. The butler's brother just before the race.
Right.
You didn't see him.
Are you asking me to participate in your jokes again?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, he's doing.
We are
he's
going to
doing
have
that.
a problem every
he
season.
sang
Yes.
he sang the anthem. I mean, how did you manage to miss that?
Did he?
Yes,
I
and
don't think that was his brother. Oh.
well, it went viral on social media because everyone said, "Hey, is that Bottas with a new hairdo?" And then, Bottas took it upon himself to at least take a selfie with the guy. So you can see that
There you go.
it wasn't Bottas, but I thought that was a nice. I have to say, it was the best version of the British anthem that I've heard so far. I mean, the guy was just good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Then
I'm
we
thinking
go
of
to
forgetting Queen, but
Leclerc. You didn't manage to say that Leclerc won. I mean, he won.
I didn't know.
He won this weekend.
Yeah.
Only in F3, but he did manage to win.
F3. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
another
Congratulations.
missed opportunity. And another thing you missed is someone you talk about quite a lot, and we haven't seen a lot. This time on the podium, and we see him coming into Silverstone right here. There he is,
Yeah.
Roscoe, climbing the
Roscoe.
stairs to the podium, and then meeting the crowd. I mean, what a star!
He's
What
a star.
What a
isn't
star!
he? He's
isn't
a
he?
star.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean-
absolutely.
And another thing that I would have expected, although Fabio touched on it a little bit, at the end of the race, just saying, 5 different teams fighting for P2.
Yeah.
That is something that
Yeah.
we've waited for a long time, and I think it's slowly getting better. And then, obviously, we have to. Do we need to talk about Leclerc? That he wasn't.
We can talk about Leclerc.
That he wasn't too happy, and he ran to
Yeah,
Daddy.
we
and
do need to talk about that.
and Daddy talked to him and said,
Mm-hmm.
"Listen, you do what I say." I mean, that's just it. But it's a telling photograph. Although I have to say, Ferrari put out a new statement today about the decision, and that was that they didn't know that the tires that Sainz was getting would be that good at the end of the race, which is why they left Leclerc out. That was a statement that was put out today.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
So, okay.
they didn't think
Well-
the red tires would hang on quite as well as they did. But
And here we can see.
I think that's a pretty poor excuse myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe.
Well, here we see the moment Russell was out of the race, the moment he got out and ran to check on Zhu.
Yeah, not
as-
quite at the moment, but okay.
Yeah, well, that was the moment.
It's when he got back in and couldn't get it restarted, then he ran back to his pits. That was the time that he was out of the race.
Oh, okay. I think my explanation was nicer, but I mean, I don't have a picture of him
Okay.
running back to the pits.
Oh,
So,
okay.
as for the
Yeah, he
Ferrari,
was talking to.
as for
Sorry,
the
go ahead then.
as for the Ferrari decision, I did manage to get a picture from someone getting hired at Ferrari, and it's here. Do you have experience with tire strategies? What's a tire? Welcome to Ferrari. So, I mean,
There you go.
there you go. And then, the one of the best things that I saw on track was a guy.
Sorry. So, hold on a second. Can it? No. Just to be sure that we are on the same planet. Can I still remember to everybody that actually Ferrari won the race, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So no. I just want to double check those.
Yes.
It sounds
Ferrari
like
did
they
win the
didn't.
with the wrong car.
Okay, fair enough.
With the wrong
Carry
car.
on.
Yeah.
With the
Well,
wrong.
that's what you say. I mean, I'm just double checking. They won the race, isn't it?
Yeah, they won
They
the
did,
race.
isn't it? Did
Okay, cool. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, let's
Isn't it?
carry on.
We will get back to this at the last race to see whether or not Leclerc makes it to become world champion. Okay. One thing I also noticed was one guy who was.
No. I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
Hang on. You can take this down, Peter. Come on back to the.
No, I can't. I can't.
Because you said something
you
interesting.
can.
So I didn't know that the World Championship was assigned and decided in Silverstone. So Sainz is world champion now.
No. I'm just saying if Leclerc
Okay.
is,
Oh, no,
if
I'm just
Leclerc
checking.
ends up
I'm just
missing the points at the end of the season, I mean, I thought
And it's those points.
it's these
It
points.
would be those points.
Yes,
Yeah.
We-
You know that already.
we will make them these points. No matter what
There is
happens,
like a million.
no matter what
There's
happens
like
in
a
the rest of the
million other
season.
races. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I'm just checking. Yeah,
Okay.
good. Yeah,
Okay.
Carry on.
Yeah. So one T-shirt I saw that I actually want one, and that was this guy. And you can look up what that's about. Who the fuck is Nelson Piquet? I thought it was a nice T-shirt. One other thing that I have is what they didn't show that much on TV.
Well, I can tell the guy was Nelson Piquet.
Yeah.
I mean, I can totally see in that picture, if you put Nelson Piquet next to that guy, they will have won. Each of them would have won what, 2 world championship, or 1.5 each. I can't remember how many Piquet won.
2.
Yeah.
2.
How many
Okay.
world championship did Nelson Piquet won?
I think it was 2.
3.
2.
Yeah, cool. So if you put Nelson Piquet next to that guy, each one of them would have won 1 world championship.
Yes.
That's who Nelson Piquet is.
Yes. Okay. One thing I wanted to show is this is how Zhu ended up.
Three-time world champion. Sorry, I was
Oh.
muted. 3-time world champion.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, 1.5 each. It would be 1.5 each. Yeah. Cool.
I took one away on purpose.
Yeah, that's a hell of a shot.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see he's still in there. You can see the helmet. So,
You can. No wonder it took him so long to get him out of the car.
yes, exactly. And now I completely forgot what my next bit was. Okay. Yeah, the crash as seen from the stands was pretty impressive as well. You can see that people saw him coming and then just...
Yeah, you can see that the central post is destroyed.
It's gone.
The
It's
rollover.
totally gone.
Yeah, that's
It's totally
amazing.
gone. Yeah.
Maybe I can... I need to go like... There you can... Okay, this is probably the best view. Yeah, that's not there anymore. So... But yeah, that's how it looked from the stands. And the thing Fabio mentioned earlier, he wasn't the only one who was saved by the Halo this weekend. There was also this guy. And that is horrific to see how that particular thing went. I mean, I think they have to look at how they place these curbs, because this is just insanely dangerous when stuff like this can happen. So,
well, again, I'd just also like to point out that that was a driving mistake by the guy that got hit. I mean, he forced the other guy off circuit again, and when a car goes off circuit, it's got no control. So I think they really need to look at driving standards. And yeah, curbs have been a problem in Formula One since 1980s. I mean, Monza, right? How many times did Monza redo their curbs to try and get it right for Formula One? And they never really did. I remember Coulthard hitting 3 curbs in 1 lap. And there are only 3 big curves. So, in fact, I just spun off hitting a curb on his warm-up lap one year. So, yeah.
Oh, and
but,
one,
you know,
one last thing, something that I think needs to be mentioned. I did get a raise. I did get a bit more money to spend on every Grand Prix. Sadly for that, Simon's had to sell his camera, but he's saving up, and he'll probably have a new one for the next race.
Yeah.
I'm just explaining why we see this icon of this older gentleman from 2 centuries ago.
Yeah, no, that is me. I am, you know, I'm just when I went to a fancy dress party last year. Anyway, yeah, we do things right in this country when we go fancy dress. Anyway, I go for the full thing. I actually got a special oil painting done just to commemorate the going to the party. Like you do. Yeah, okay, that's great. Thank you for that roundup. That's wonderful.
Was it a nice white shot party that you went to?
Nice white shot. No, I think it was Us Wide Open, actually.
Us Wide Open party, yeah. Cool.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
And demonetized.
Gotcha. Yeah, just to say, if Christopher Mounty watches this, I even do it on my stream. It's not just your stream. I make those kind of jokes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Fabio, British Grand Prix. Oh, hello, Brojo. By the way, just in time. Let's just Brojo. See. Hang on a sec. You have written hello, Brojo. You did write a comment, so you need to do the math for them curves. Yes, quite right. Hi all. Thank you very much. Carry on, Brojo. Oh, carry on, Fabio.
What?
You were going to say something about the British Grand Prix, which I interrupted.
No,
I thought you were going to say something about the fancy dress party, because obviously he can go in style.
That was another good fancy dress party.
He can go in style as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I remember that one. Me and Martin Brundle getting it on. Oh, yeah. Anyway,
I like the fact that the color is shit. Like, I mean, it is the color of the shit.
It is. Yes. It is literally the same color as he has in his avatar right now. That's the color.
Yeah, that's right.
So no, anyway, I mean, British Grand Prix. Can't say it wasn't gripping, and it wasn't a fun race to watch. I understand, the disappointment.
When it got going, yeah.
Oh yeah, eventually it was fantastic. Yeah.
Wow.
No, but it was a really good Grand Prix. Even
I had an extra hour's sleep in, which was nice.
Stuff like that, yeah. It was good. It was really funny. And again, there were one of the best things I've seen in a race in years, especially after the restart, and all that stuff. It was really good, really fun, really good. Yeah, I mean, it might have been better. It might have been 1-2 Ferrari, of course, but you gotta account for those fucking French to ruin, everything. So,
yeah. Same thing happened last race, was it? Or the race before? I can't remember.
You know, the funny thing is that I sent you also a message. I was praising the mechanics in Alpine because Ocon managed to get back to the to the pit with the suspension wide open, and they managed to fix it. I was like, okay, yeah, good job, guys. I mean, they're really good. Those motherfuckers. You know,
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it's a Renault.
I never learn. You know, I mean, the moment I praise some French, they just fuck them up. Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's all. I mean, I kind of enjoyed it. I mean, if I was if I was supporting Lewis this year, it would have been better.
Yeah.
But I was just deflated. I was deflated by a strategy error, or what I consider to be a strategy error by Ferrari. I think they could have had a better result if they'd just taken out, or either double stopped, or more importantly, I mean, look, even with the damage, Leclerc had pace. He'd already shown he could get past all of those cars that would have been in front of him. So I just don't understand it.
That is
I'm
the
sorry.
point.
That's my last thing I'm going to say on it.
No, but that is the point. I agree with you. I mean, the fact that in Silverstone track position is not that important, and that is where all even the explanation that I tried to give, which I think they make sense, because okay, so
it does.
If Ferrari's strategy was to win the race, they had the perfect strategy because they won the race. That's it.
Agreed.
The where it crumbles is the fact that I think they gave too much importance to track position. Maybe they thought that I don't know. I'm just making shit up now, but maybe they thought that putting Leclerc on red tires with his front wing damage might not have been as efficient as the other cars, because I mean this is something that it could be taken into consideration, because Leclerc was suffering more with the mediums, and it was really fast with the hard tires, and the hard tires are stickier at the front than medium and soft tire. That that seems to be a little bit counterintuitive, but they are. So maybe there was that. I have no fucking idea. I still think they should have tried. But again, that wasn't... I think that the gist of it was that wasn't a racing decision. It was a tactical decision. And if the tactic was to win the race...
They did that. I agree. I agree that it's a safer option to guarantee a race win rather than risk maybe a second and third place. But I don't know. I'm just I'm bitter about it, because there was such a gap to Verstappen, right? That could have halved the gap to Verstappen, knowing that Verstappen was having a bad day at it.
I know.
Right? So there was an opportunity there, right? Like no other, right? If Verstappen had been in third place, right, then fair enough. Okay, so you're going to lose a couple more points to him, whatever. You may beat him, but you were guaranteed to beat Verstappen. To maximize that victory would have been my choice. But anyway.
Let me ask you a question. If you were Ferrari, okay?
I am. I am a Tifosi through and through, as you know.
One of the risks, and that is a real risk, of stopping two cars with a double pit stop, because somebody can go wrong or stuff like that, is that at the end of it, you end the race something like second and third, or second and fourth, or third and fourth. So would you... I mean, first of all, can you imagine what the fuck would have happened if you didn't scratch a victory? And so would you have done that?
Yeah. I mean, considering the points gaps, I would have done it. Ferrari would have been better off with Verstappen down almost out of the points, right, to have a second, third against Perez than they were to get a first, fourth.
Well, remember, if that at the end of the race you get a third and a fourth place, after that race, you would not be able to go back home.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, maybe.
That
Again,
is...
I don't think so. I think this year, us Tifosi want to see a more daring strategy in order to
Yeah,
win the drivers'
I agree.
championship. And yes, I know the company want to win the drivers' championship because they feel that that'll satisfy us. But I'm not satisfied by that. You've got one of the most exciting drivers in Formula One, and to get to the end of the year and not be fighting for that championship, that's more of a loss.
I agree with you. I think that Ferrari's got to really make up their
No.
mind if they want to win races or if they want to have a shot at the title with Leclerc. I think that's the thing. Yeah.
Grazie, mille grazie.
Okay.
Can
fair
I
enough. Okay.
can I settle it once and for all? I think they made the right call.
No.
Yes, because if they had pitted Leclerc, we wouldn't have seen the brilliant fight between Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, and that would have been detrimental to the race. I still think that was one of the finest moments of the race. So I think they made the right call.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not getting popular with Fabio. I need to fix that.
No, it's okay. I mean, you know what is the thing which pissed me off more in the race? Was that fucking Scientologist, roaming the pit everywhere. That really. I mean, they had Keanu Reeves, and then they had the Scientologist, and they kept going after the Scientologist guy. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
they have the money, Fabio. That's probably it. It's now it's an American sport now. So if you know that Scientology is paying off the police in what is it in Los Angeles to leave them alone. They have that amount of money.
They don't have that much money. They don't have all that money that he used to.
Yeah, I know.
It's way less than he used to.
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, fair enough.
So
next race is going to be Austria.
Austria. Yeah. Before we go off that, I just got to say a quick comment on Peter there. Or Peter's comments, really, I guess. Just say something like "Questo ragazzo è pazzo," eh?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Thank you, Peter.
Completamente.
And the next race then is Austria, as you say, and that's next week.
It might be raining.
Back to back. Oh, I only wish. I know it won't be, but I only wish it was.
It's the fucking Alps. It might be raining. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention, and we forgot. Any thoughts on Spa not being on the calendar next year?
No.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that there is a debate, or not a debate. They are negotiating.
Yeah,
is that right? It hasn't been confirmed yet whether they're on or off, and they're basically saying they can't afford the usual fee. And of course, losing Spa is a big problem. Although I've got to say this as well, just quickly, Spa has been neutered.
Yes.
Right? Spa used to be a fantastic circuit. They've just been neuting it more and more and more over the years, and it's got to the point where actually I think it's fairly bland. Right?
Yeah.
So, okay, if Spa's not there, I'm not going to cry big buckets. So.
Yeah, this Spa circuit is not going to be. I mean, it's a loss, but it's not like there is no Silverstone or Monza. I mean, that would be a problem. Spa. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
The only good thing about Spa is that it rains.
It rains.
So, yeah.
Well, both of us, yeah. Absolutely. There's a higher chance of rain at Spa than most places, so potentially. Yeah. Although these days, again, I'm just disappointed, right? Because now when it rains, do we have a race? No, we don't. They tend to just stop the fucking race because these rain tyres are so shit. I don't know what Pirelli's doing. I don't know what Pirelli's doing.
You can't
Back in the Goodyear days.
You can't expect the best drivers in the world to drive in the rain.
Well, it's dangerous, of course it is, and that's what they're trying to protect, right? Because safety is everything. If another driver dies in Formula One, then obviously there's going to be a big outcry for safety standards to improve, and they can't improve anymore. I mean, other than like building like enclosed cockpits, which are lead, which are sort of, I don't know, carbon fiber sealed units where there's an escape pod like James Bond where you push the button and the whole fucking driver flies out. I've got no idea, but they've done everything they can, or make every circuit like Manico, not Manico, Castellet. No, not Castellet. Paul Ricard.
Paul Ricard, yeah.
Paul Ricard. In which case, I'm going to stop watching Formula One. So.
Yes.
There you go. Okay.
Anyway,
Does that go? Have you got anything further, Peter, to throw at me before we go?
That was it. That was it.
What do you think about Spa? Do you think, fuck Spa?
No,
you're close to Spa, right?
I'd hate to
live Formula One at Spa.
Yeah, I'd hate to lose it. I still think it's a good circuit, and yeah.
Remember how good the bus stop used to be back in Schumacher days?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened now, because they put on several huge stands and took down the iconic building that was there for all the time. I mean, not all improvements are good. It's just for the money, I think.
It was safety, just to keep the contract. That's why Formula One go, we don't want to race here, we're just going to make it difficult. They did the same thing to Silverstone, insisted that they improve access and ... and this, that, and the other. And they haven't been able to. All they've done is re-tarmac it all at a great expense. And it's still just as bad as it used to be. Well, it's not quite that, but I remember getting into Silverstone at one time to see a few races, and it all goes via one roundabout. Oh, jeez. Do you know what I mean? And the local council needs to fucking change that. That's nothing to do with Silverstone. So and they do the same thing all over. They're neuting these tracks. That's what I'm against. Although obviously they've done the best with curbs, right? But how many times have they resurfaced and reconfigured the corners so they can have a lower curb on it, and then literally the next race the drivers are just driving all over it, and it's just as dangerous. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me, the inconsistency that we have to deal with. Fucking circuits. The high price it costs a circuit to get a Formula One race is a real issue, especially if all they're going to do is just keep building new circuits and then moving on. We're just going to have a trail of old circuits that we no longer go and race at around the world, right? And it'll be the same thing with what's the South African one? What's the name of the Kyalami?
Kyalami.
It's the same thing with Kyalami. Kyalami currently does not come up to F1 regulations, right? And it can't, because it's got a corner right just before an overhang or a drop off, and there's no way that they can do anything with that. Right, so they're going to have to reconfigure the whole fucking area, landscaping it, etc., just to make that viable for a Formula One circuit to go there. And then what will happen 3 years later, after the contract needs to be removed, they up the price and say, right, well, we're not coming back because we don't like racing there. Look what they did to Zandvoort. Right?
I mean, it could be worse. Bernie might still be there. So
yeah, I mean, I prefer the backhand to the current, the constant changing the circuits to try and meet new regulations. Though, at least Bernie would just say, "Yeah, I'll overlook that it's fucking dangerous. Come on, let's just get a race on."
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
Okay, guys, see you next week.
Austria next week. That's how it goes. Thank you very much, Peter. Really appreciate it. Thank you for all your hard work. And we will see you in Austria next week. And thank you, everybody, for stopping by. Thank you, Bub, for your questions. Thank you, Gio. Thank you, Brojo. And we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Okay, Hangouts off air. One thing, when we started, it was a little bit bumpy. That was on my end because we had a problem with internet right before we started, and I had to restart my my Stream Deck.